शिव बाबा पधारे, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, ओम ओम। ओम की इस मधुर ध्वनि से किया परिवर्तन, प्रेम शांति सिखा के बदला सभी का जीवन। आदि देव प्रजापिता श्री, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, ओम ओम। सोहनी सूरत मोहनी मूरत, ज्ञान के मोती। भव्य मुख पर चंद्रमासी, चमकती ज्योति। दिव्य दर्शन दिव्य वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, ओम ओम। विश्व में थी पाप की जब घटा छाई, तब विभूति आप जैसी धरती पे आई। एक तार में बंध के सारे, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों। ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, ओम
Shanti.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Welcome, willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome to.
Merci, merci beaucoup.
Yes, Pratibha. Benji, I remember very well that you once came friends, but first let me please introduce you to the rest of the family. So welcome every brother and sister all across Europe, and I know also a few of Baba's precious children outside of Europe, I think even from Africa and certainly elsewhere. Welcome to this now really well-established global event that is the Saturday's Global Murli. And for any global event, of course, we need a special global instrument. And this is why we are very happy on behalf of all of you and on behalf of the organizing team to welcome our respected Pratibha Benji from Africa. So just in a few words, Pratibha Ben was born, of course, logically and in a physical body in 61 in Zambia. And she became a BK as soon as 74. Pratibha Ben, correct me if I'm wrong. And she surrendered to Baba and to Baba's Yagya as early as 77. And then really she's been, as it was said, global instrument and especially pioneer, establishing several centers in new countries in terms of Seva, for instance, in Ethiopia, in Angola, in Ivory Coast. So perhaps, Pratibha Ben, you will touch on the subject, especially because we are in delicate times on how to protect oneself when we are, you know, in countries where there are more and more difficulties. Perhaps you will touch on that at some point. Pratibha Ben also became really well connected with the Seva, linked with the United Nations, and also Seva related to women. And so, of course, it has been a life of non-stop service since 77. So we are going to listen to your wisdom prior to the Murli, then you reading the Murli, and then there will be a few questions. So again, welcome and thank you for being with us this morning. Shanti.
Thank you, and special greetings from Zimbabwe for Rakhi and Janmashtami, and of course, the silence time all of us are spending. This is going to be very valuable for all of us. We all know that. And so if we don't do it, then drama makes us do. And so that's why drama is very beneficial. So we just praise drama and our fortune. Listening to today's Murli, when I was reading, I was remembering one or two things from the past. When Brahma Baba was with all of the Yagya members, in the Murli, that's Shiv Baba's Murli, it always was mentioned that we will all return back home together. And so when Brahma Baba left his body in 69, a few souls had questions. And they asked, saying, Baba, you told us that we will all return back home together. And here Brahma Baba has left us behind and he's gone. So Shiv Baba clarified that Baba never told you where you will go together from. And so Shiv Baba clarified by saying, Baba is still waiting for you in the subtle regions. So you all get ready and you will all return home back together. The other thing, in 1984, of course, in early days, we used to offer bhog to Baba every Thursday. And if a center was fortunate to have some messenger, trans messenger, they would even get messages. And so we in Africa had Sister Vedanti, who was a trans messenger, and she used to bring messages in those days. And it was 1984 we stepped in, and Baba related 1984 as Chorasi Janma, the 84 births, the cycle of the world cycle of 84 births. And so Baba says in 1984, the world will have dhamal. I'm using the word in Hindi and then I'll translate that the world will go through dhamal and you children will go through kamal. Hahakar and Jaykar. In other words, Baba talked about the world will go through upheaval and you children will go through, wonders. Whereas the world will go through the cries of distress and you children will go through the cries of victory. And so Baba's children took it so literally. And 1984 towards the end, I think every individual Brahmin had a lot of exams. The world definitely had, but a lot of individuals had a lot of exams. The Yajna went through a lot also. And so a few Baba's children asked Baba that, Baba, you were saying we were going to have the cries of victory, and how come we went through so much exams? And Baba did say the world will go through the cries of distress. And you will go through the victory. And so Baba asked, where are you children? Are you not part of the world? And of course, we are part of the world. And then Baba said, are you still alive? And everybody was alive, physically and spiritually. So Baba says, that's your victory. You went through a lot of exams. So don't think that when the world goes through distress, you will be saved. You will also go through it, but you will have victory. And so when Baba says anything in the Murli, in blessings, in whatever we receive, we Baba's children take it too literally. We have to understand the depth. And so when I was in Madhuban for a longer time, and I was newly dedicated, and Baba, when Avyak Bab Dada used to come, I used to go and get Toli from Baba, and Baba would give me Drishti and just say, number 1 Brahma Kumari, give me Toli and say number 1 Brahma Kumari. And I counted, Baba told me over time about 16 times the same thing. And at some point, because of the limited intellect or limited, human understanding, I said, Baba just keeps on telling me that. But I realized that I'm not a number 1 Brahma Kumari, but there's a hope. There's an, possibility that I can work towards it. And so whenever you receive a blessing through Baba, through the seniors, from Madhuban, Murli, I don't just take it literally that I'm already that, but there is a margin and I can become that. So today, Baba's Murli is the 4th of September, 2021. Essence, sweet children, this world is now a hopeless case. It's a hopeless case. Everyone is to die, and this is why your attachment to this has to end. Constantly remember me alone. Question, what is the reason why you don't have enthusiasm to do service? Answer, if your character is not good and you do not remember the Father, you cannot have the enthusiasm to do service. You continue to perform one wrong action or another and are therefore unable to do service. The same question, second answer. The father's first direction is, when you die, the world is dead for you. You don't put this direction into practice. It is because your intellect is trapped in bodies and bodily relations that you are unable to do service. Song, salutations to Shiva. Om Namo Shivaya. Om Shanti. You heard the song of the path of devotion. People say salutations to Shiva. They say Shiva's name again and again. They go to a Shiva temple every day and they celebrate whatever festivals there are every year. There is the most elevated month of charity, a lip month, and also the most elevated year of charity. They continue to say salutations to Shiva every day. Many are worshippers of Shiva. The creator is Shiva, God, the highest on high. They say the purifier is the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, Shiva. They worship him every day. You children know that this is the confluence age and the age in which to become the most elevated of all. People claim one's high status or another from a worldly study. How did Lakshmi and Narayan claim their status? How did they become the masters of the world? No one knows this. They say salutations to Shiva. You are the mother and father. They sing this praise every day, but they don't know when he comes and becomes the mother and the father and gives us our inheritance. You know that the people of the world don't know anything. They stumble around so much on the path of devotion. So many groups of people go to Amarnath. They stumble around so much. If you were to tell them this, they would get upset. Very few of you children have a lot of happiness inside you. Some continue to write, Baba, from the moment I recognized you, there has been no limit to my happiness. Even when there are difficulties, you must remain happy. So I'm going to share my experience later of when there is difficulties, how happiness is maintained. You must never forget that you now belong to the Father. Now that you children know that you have attained Shivaba, let there be no limit in your happiness. Maya repeatedly makes you forget. Although you write that you have faith and that you know Baba, you become slack while moving along. When some don't come for 6 months to 8 months or for 2 to 3 years, Baba understands that the intellects don't have full faith and that they are not fully intoxicated. He is such an unlimited Father that he gives you the inheritance for 21 births. If you had this faith, you would then have a lot of happiness and intoxication. When a king wants to adopt a child and that child finds out that there is a talk of the king wanting to adopt him and make him his heir, that child would have so much happiness. He would feel, I am going to become a child of the king. Or if a poor child is adopted by a wealthy person, he feels so happy. When he realizes that he is going to be adopted by so-and-so, his unhappiness about being a poor person disappears. That is a matter of just one birth. Here you children have the happiness of claiming the inheritance for 21 births. Remember the unlimited Father and also show the path to others. Shiv Baba, the purifier, has come. He explains that he is your Father. No human being can say, I am your unlimited Father. Only the Father explains that he came 5,000 years ago. He said the same words, constantly remember me alone. Only by remembering me, the purifier Father, will you become pure. There is no other way to become pure from impure. Only the one Father is the purifier. Krishna cannot be called God. The God of the Gita is the purifier, and he is beyond birth and death. This is the first thing you should get people to write. When others see this written by eminent people, they will feel that this is right. If they see this written by just anyone, they would say that the Brahma Kumaris have cast a magic spell on him, and that is why he has written that. They wouldn't say that if it were written by an eminent person. When you say anything, they say that you have a small mouth and are talking big things, that you are all talk, saying that God has come. You children mustn't just say that God has come. No one will understand that, and some will even laugh at you. Explain that there are two fathers. First of all, don't instantly tell them directly that God has come. Because nowadays, there are many in the world who call themselves God. All of them consider themselves to be incarnations of God. Therefore, explain the secret of the two fathers to them tactfully. One is the limited Father, and the other is the unlimited Father. The Father's name is Shiva. He is the Father of all souls, and so he must surely give his children an inheritance. People celebrate the birthday of Shiva. He comes and establishes heaven. Therefore, hell definitely has to be destroyed. The sign of that is the Mahabharata war. When you just say that God has come, no one understands anything. You continue to beat drums. When you do service in the wrong way like that, service becomes even more slack. On the one hand, you say that God has come and that he is teaching you, and then you go and get married. People would then ask, what happened to you? You said that God was teaching you. They would then reply, We just told you what we heard. There are many types of obstacles in your own, obstacles from your own children. For instance, the Hindus have slapped themselves. They actually belong to the deity religion, but they say that they are Hindus. They have slapped themselves in this way. You now know that when you were worthy of worship, you had an elevated religion and performed elevated actions. By following the devilish dictates, you become corrupt in your religion and actions. We are the ones who begin to defame our own religion by following devilish dictates of Maya. This is why Baba said, that is the devilish community, this is the divine community to whom I am teaching Raja Yoga. It is now the Iron Age, and those who come and listen to this knowledge become deities from devils. This knowledge is for becoming deities. You become deities by conquering the 5 vices. There wasn't any war between the devils and the deities. They made this mistake, but they have shown that the ones who had God on their side were victorious. They have mentioned Krishna's name in that. Your war is in fact with Maya. The Father sits here and explains so many things to you, but some are so tamopradhan that they don't understand anything at all. They are unable to remember the Father. They understand that the intellects are tamopradhan and that they are therefore unable to remember the Father. And this is why they continue to perform wrong actions. Even very good children don't remember the Father at all. They don't perform their characters at all. They don't reform their characters at all. This is why they have no enthusiasm to do service. The Father says, kill the body and all bodily relations. That is, forget all of them. The word kill isn't actually said. It is said, when you die, the world is dead for you. The Father sits here and explains this. Remove them from your intellects. Now that you belong to me, forget them all. Remember the one Father. When someone is a hopeless case in terms of his illness, others have to break all the attachments to that one. He is then told to remember God, Rama. The Father also says this world is a completely hopeless case. The world is to be destroyed. Everyone is to die, and this is why you have to remove your attachment from it. They continue to chant Rama's name. Here, it is the question of just one. The whole world is to be destroyed. This is why I give you just one mantra. And what is that mantra? Constantly remember me alone. He continues to explain to you in so many different ways. The month of charity has now come. And so he continues to explain to you about the most auspicious age in which you become the most elevated beings. You have to be very clever explaining these things. The divine virtues have to be well imbibed by you. You mustn't perform any sinful actions. To take something without permission or to eat something without permission is also an incognito sin. The rules are very strict. When someone commits a sin and doesn't tell Baba about it, that sin continues to increase. Here, you children have to become charitable souls. I love charitable souls and dislike sinful souls. When Baba says that, of course, this is a little missing link in translation, where it sounds so literal, but in Hindi, it doesn't just, sound like this. God doesn't dislike anyone, but that's the only translation link which is there. So on the path of devotion too, they're aware that they receive good fruit by performing good actions. This is why they perform the good karma of making donations and performing charity. This is a drama, and yet they say that God gives good fruit for good actions. The Father says, I don't just sit and do that business. All of that is fixed in the drama. The Father definitely has to come according to drama. The Father says, I have to come and show everyone the path. There is no question of mercy in this. Some write, Baba, if we have your blessings, we will never forget you. The Father says, I don't have mercy in that way. Those things belong to the path of devotion. Have mercy on your own selves. By remembering the Father, your sins will be absorbed. The things of the path of devotion do not continue on the path of knowledge. The path of knowledge is a study. A teacher would not have mercy on anyone. Each one has to study. The Father gives Srimad. Therefore, you should follow that, should you not? However, due to following your own dictates, you don't do any service. You children have to become completely charitable souls. Not the slightest sin should be committed. Some children never speak of the sins they have committed. The Father says they will never claim a high status. It is remembered, those who ascend taste the sweetness of heaven. You children know that the status is very high. If you fall, you are of no use at all. Impure arrogance is number one. Lust, anger, and attachment are no less. Greed and attachment also completely destroys everything. When you have attachment to your children, you continue to remember them. So Baba's giving a metaphor of climbing the palm tree where there is very juicy fruits up there. So if you manage to climb through up, then you will receive the sweet fruits. But if you fall from such a height, you will be of no use. So continue to remember them. The soul says, mine is one Shiv Baba and none other. Make such effort that no one else is remembered. All of those things have to end. Destruction is just ahead. After that, you won't be able to claim the inheritance. Why should you have attachment to this world? Each of you should talk to yourselves in this way. Remove the whole world from your intellects. All of this is going to be destroyed. Such storms will come that they will finish off everything. When a fire breaks out somewhere and there is strong winds, everything is very quickly destroyed. In just half an hour, 100 to 150 huts are destroyed. You know that the haystack has to be set on fire. How else would you all, these human beings, die? Good children who have good characters will do good service. Your children should be intoxicated. So this is the intoxication we're receiving from Baba's Murli, Baba's versions. You will be completely intoxicated at the end when you reach your karmatic stage. However, until then, you still have to continue to make effort. Many children go to the Shiva's temple in Benares because he is God, the highest on high. They worship Shiva a great deal there. Baba continues to tell you to go there and explain to them. God Shiva gives Lakshmi and Narayan this inheritance. They received their inheritance from him at the conference age. When you explain this to them, you would also include the explanation of Brahma and Saraswati. You can explain very clearly using the pictures how they received the kingdom. The path of devotion did exist in the kingdom of Lakshmi and Narayan. They say that devotion has continued eternally. You have now received so much knowledge that you should be intoxicated. God is teaching us in order to give us our fortune of the kingdom for 21 births. You are students. Those who have faith will wonder, what would the one from whom the Brahma Kumaris hear everything and who instills that faith in us be like himself? They would first want to come and meet such a father. In other words, when they see us, we give them the vision of Father, but of course they definitely want to practically see Baba. Until they have full faith, they won't be able to move forward. Those who have faith will quickly run. We will go and meet such a Father. We won't leave him. Baba, I now belong to you. I will not go anywhere else now. There is a song. Whether you love me or whether you reject me, this one who loves you madly will not leave your doorstep. Not everyone can stay here. You have to be sent on service. While living at home with your family, be like a lotus. Some put this in writing, where when they go outside, they get caught in the spin of Maya. Maya is so powerful. Maya causes many obstacles, such as such a tiny lamp has so many stones of Maya. The Father comes and explains to you the essence of these songs. This is your most auspicious confluence age. The month of charity of the devotees has passed. The Father says, I only come at this confluence age to purify the impure. This explanation is so good. Acha, day by day, new methods will come. New methods will continue to emerge for service to progress. Many good pictures will continue to be created. It is said, although a task may take a long time, it will be accomplished well. You are receiving ready-made material through which anyone can understand instantly. The picture of the ladder is very good. None can say at this time that they are pure. Only the golden age is called the pure world. Lakshmi and Narayan are the masters of the pure world. Acha, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for dharana: 1. Pay a lot of attention so that not even the slightest subtle or gross sin is committed. Don't take anything secretly. Beware of greed and attachment. 2. Renounce any impure arrogance that would completely ruin you. Make effort to remember no one but the one Father. Blessing. May you become free from bondage and experience a high stage by becoming free from any subtle bondage of thoughts. To the extent that children are free from bondage, so they can remain stable in a high stage, therefore, check, is any string still attached, even in a subtle form, in my thoughts, words, or actions? Do not remember anyone except the one Father. If you remember even your body, then along with your body, your relations of the body, your physical possessions, and the world will all follow, one after another. I'm free from bondage. Keep this blessing in your awareness and do the service of releasing the whole world from Maya's trap. Slogan: those who finish any trouble of their bodies and minds with a soul-conscious stage can remain unshakable. Om Shanti. Such a powerful, powerful dosage for the day. Even if we might not remember the whole Murli, but just a few points are in the intellect and we can use it. And what I've noticed is that whatever point I need for the day, it will be there in my intellect stored. And so it works in a very beautiful manner that it just pops up and I use it and I become victorious. So today Baba was talking about death. And I was just remembering that when there's COVID and people die young and old, we're so concerned about the COVID-19 pandemic. But we've been hearing, even without COVID virus, people are still dying. Somebody with massive heart attacks, somebody with accidents, somebody with other illnesses. And so, in essence, drama is working in its way at the correct pace, and transformation is taking place. The scene in drama has speeded up a lot. The speeding is so fast that if I don't keep with time and drama, I would be left behind. And how do I catch up with time and drama? With my silence. The more I have the silence power, the more my speed increases. And that was a silence of the speech, but silence of the mind. Although I have been in action constantly, but I need this silence within me. And what does that silence mean is, I do not go into questions of why, what, who, how, where. Baba has given us the signal for a long, long time. Don't go into questions. Only just put a full stop. And that full stop is silence. That full stop is I am soul, the soul consciousness. And of course, Baba's remembrance. So yes, when I came to Baba and when I decided to fully dedicate my life in this service, I was surrendered in subtle regions. And you might wonder, what is that? You must have heard that there's a lot of ceremonies in India, but what is this being surrendering in the subtle region? And so every Thursday, our center used to offer bhog. Of course, we all offer bhog. But Sister Vedanti used to go in trance. And that fine day, Baba sent Sister Vedanti again and did not accept the bhog at that point. Baba says that my child is mentally and with the feelings surrendered, with the mind and the feelings. But today Baba wants to perform a surrender ceremony in the subtle regions. So bring my child. So we were two sisters. So Sister Vedanti asked us to sit just in front of the bhog table. And we thought we will go in trance. But we didn't. We were just sitting there waiting. Of course, we were so intoxicated, so happy that finally Baba has recognized our desire. And here we are, giving our life to this very noble task. And that's it. We were just waiting, sitting there. After about 15, 20 minutes, Sister Vedanti came back from the subtle regions. And she shared her, message, trance message. And in that, Baba, Mama, Dadi, Manmohini Didi, Dade Janki, and Nirmal Shanta Dadi, Brahma Baba's lucky daughter. They were all sitting in a semicircle like a half moon. And we were right in front of Baba. And Baba gave us powerful drishti and said, today Baba has invited you to fully take this life. And in those days, of course, we used to use the word surrender. Nowadays, I think a lot of Brahmins don't like the word surrender because they think surrender means defeat. I don't think it's defeat. So Baba gave us a uniform, and Mama gave us a uniform. Baba put a ring on, and all the dadis gave us something as symbolic. And then Baba said, child, a lot of temptations will come in this life. You will come across a lot of exams. Will you be scared? And very intoxicatedly, we said, no, Baba. At least I said, no, Baba. And then Baba said, just say Baba and everything will be fine. So I took that one magic word of Baba. And since then till today, I've been using that in all situations, not only problem, but when there is victory, when there is wonders, when there is miracles, whatever you call it, then also I remember Baba. And when there is challenging times, then also I remember Baba. And that has given me a lot of benefit. Just the word Baba from your heart, and Baba is present. This is my personal experience. And I've been, before the COVID-19 pandemic, I traveled a lot, non-stop. And in traveling, of course, majority traveling was Africa. But in many parts of the world, I think I've also come to all of you. But there has been challenging times also. Just a recent one that was about two years ago, approximately 2 years ago. We were doing a project in Africa, especially in Nairobi, Pause for Peace. Pause for Peace was, we don't want people, to wait for 7 days to experience meditation and all that. But we just want to give them an experience. And so we were going all over, and I traveled in a lot of African countries, but quite challenging countries, Islamic North Africa, and the Horn of Africa, and many other places where we have not even been. So I'll give you my one experience that I was in Somalia. And you all know Somalia is quite a challenging country. But I personally felt that I have to put my footstep there and give drishti. Of course, we can do it through the mind also. But I practically wanted to go and bring this message across. So I told myself, if I get the visas easily, that means there's a signal that I can go. But if I don't get the visas easily, then it's fine. Drama is giving me a signal that it's not the right time. And guess what? I got it very easily. So there are two parts of Somalia. One is Somaliland, where it's not very difficult. They're welcoming a lot of people. But Somalia is quite challenging. And it's not open yet. And so I just came to know everything when I planned to go there, that it has a red zone and a green zone. Red zone is being taken care by the United Nations, and they will not allow anybody into the red zone just easily. It's very, very difficult to go into Mogadishu. And so they literally have a border of green zone. So you can be, the airport is in the green zone, and a few hotels are in the green zone. So they allow me to go into the green zone, but I cannot go to the red zone, which is into Mogadishu. And so I tried. I was in a Turkish hotel. So I met the manager and I said, I would like to go. I was there for 5 days, 4 days full, and 5th day I had to travel. So I spoke to the manager, he's a Turkish gentleman. I said, I would like to go to Mogadishu inside. He says, first, you need to get a bulletproof car, which you have to hire. And what is so important that you want to go there? And he explained me it is our responsibility because you're our guest. So we won't allow you to go into that zone very easily. It's our responsibility. So whatever you want to do, please do it here, but not in the red zone. And of course, just before I landed in Somalia, there were about 2 or 3 bombs, and a lot of people died in there, car bomb and other bombing. Anyway, so I understood I didn't want to create more problems for others. So I said, all right, no problem. I'll just do my programs here in the hotel. And I did it. But at least I thought, let me walk out of the hotel and walk into the green zone and see and feel the land. And so I was just walking. I had my documents bag on me. That was my money and documents and passport. That was with me on myself. And I was walking around, and suddenly the soldiers came with machine guns and they surrounded me. And they were speaking something which, of course, I didn't understand. They were speaking in Arabic. And I was just so shocked. I didn't know what was happening. And I was surrounded by them, and I was standing in the middle with my bag. And they kept on telling me, throw your bag, throw your bag. And so I quickly put it on the side. And then the sniff dogs came and they sniffed my bag. They came around me. I will tell you the truth, I was scared. I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to think further, but I was completely alone. If anything happens, I don't think any of the centers would even know. But the only thing I did was, I know, theoretically we do say Baba is with us. And Baba is with us, it's practical. But your mind is still not so detached. And so I just stood there and I said, Baba, and they started telling me, it's fine, it's okay, sorry. The only thing I understood that. And then they told me to go and scan myself through the machine, put my bag in the scanner, and then they told me, they apologized a lot. There's one person who was speaking English, and I said, what happened? I don't understand, So he explained to me, he said, mainly when we have bombers around, there are suicidal bombers, there are car bombers, and the bombs are in the bag or on them, but mainly in the bag. And so they were so scared that you were a foreigner and you had a bag and you were walking alone, you were walking around. And so they doubted, so they all came and they stopped you and searched you. And the sniff dogs are for bombs. And the sniff dogs told us there's nothing. And so they allow you to go. So, that second, when we just say Baba within yourself, you don't even have to say loud. You don't even have to say, you just have to feel the presence of Baba. And things open up so nicely. And I just walked back to the hotel. And then I was sitting in Baba's remembrance. And I was telling Baba, you're just wonderful. Just a thought, one word, a thought of Baba. And you were just right there in front of me to protect me. And so thank you so much. So this was one very bitter experience I had. I was safe, I was fine. I never shared that with anybody there in the hotel, but this is my experience of Baba. And there has been so many experiences like that everywhere in the world. A couple of years ago, I was invited to Croatia to conduct a retreat. And I had to come to South Africa to get the visas. And Sister Jayanti told me, instead of, a few countries, why don't you cover 7 countries, former Yugoslavia? And I said, yes, no problem. That was my first time in that part of the world. And I tried my visas. They gave me Montenegro, I got it for Bosnia, Herzegovina, but they rejected my visas to Croatia once, twice, And so I told Sister Jayanti, I'm sorry they rejected twice. And so I had, 2 weeks extra because I didn't go to 2 countries. And so I thought I'll just change my bookings and go back to Nairobi 2 weeks early. But when I went to change my booking in Sarajevo, they told me if you change your booking and go 2 weeks early, travel 2 weeks early, then you will have to pay 750 euro. And I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of money from Baba's box. And so I said, is there any other solution? They told me, if you go via Istanbul, Turkey, and use your 2 weeks somewhere else. So I used it in Holland 1 week, and Sister Jayanti told me to go to Poland. So I was in Warsaw and I was in Amsterdam, and I covered all the centers there at that time. And the sisters organized classes. So it was like worthwhile, and I only had to pay 250 euros to do that. So I was in Istanbul, I was in Holland, and I was in Poland. And so I used my 2 weeks in a very worthwhile way. But at that point, I was now departing from Sarajevo, now supposed to fly to Istanbul. And they told me, we're very sorry, when I was in immigrations, that you cannot travel today. You have to go to Sarajevo immigrations and pay a penalty. And I asked them, why do I need to pay a penalty? They said, because you do not have visas to Bosnia. I said, I was told that I can travel to Bosnia on Schengen visas. And they explained me very nicely that you can travel to Bosnia with Schengen visa from a Schengen country. But you did not come from Schengen country, you were in Montenegro. And so you cannot enter Bosnia on Schengen visa. So I told him, brother, but your people allow me to enter at the immigration border. I traveled by road. And first thing, he was so annoyed that I called him brother. So he says, I am not your brother, I'm an officer. And I was just standing there so detached. And then he said, no, you have to go. And then you'll change your booking and travel. I knew changing the booking means I have to pay a lot of money. I personally don't like wasting money, even if we have. And so I wanted to travel on that flight only. I said, can I pay the penalty here at the airport? He said, no, you cannot. You have to go back to the city. So at that moment, that gentleman was so angry with me. And I just paused for a moment. Pause. And Baba. And Baba touched my intellect so nicely. And as though Baba was telling me, ask for the chief immigration officer. And I said, can I speak to your boss? I want to speak to the chief immigration officer. And he thought, this lady is in fault anyway. Whether she goes to my boss or I go. If I go, I'll get the credit that I did a wonderful job. And so he says, all right, just wait for a minute here, I'm coming. And he quickly rushed to his boss's office. Just came back in a few seconds, but so humbled and so quiet. And he says, ma'am, I'm very sorry. You can travel today and you will travel on this flight because it was our people who made a mistake. It's not your mistake. That is what my boss told me. And I thanked him and I just walked away. And I thanked Baba so much. And I remember when I came to Baba in the early days in the center, I always had a concern that, I need to serve through the body, mind, wealth, time, breath, in all ways. So body, mind is there. Breath and time is also there. But what about wealth? So I used to tell Sister Vedanti, My fortune is never going to be with wealth because I never did job or anything like that. I've not earned money and I cannot put in the box. So how am I going to do? And she explained to me so nicely. I was only 18 that time. And she said, if you don't earn money, but those who are earning, and you share this knowledge and inspiration in such a manner that whatever wealth they contribute towards Baba's box, a small percentage is accumulated in your account also. Over the years, I understood that one, if I give knowledge and somebody does service through the mind and the body and the wealth, that also accumulates into my account. But if I am economical and I save anybody's money, whether it's yours or whether it's the other center or whether it's my center where I am instrument in serving, but saving that is also accumulated automatically in our account. And so I am always so conscious that I don't want to waste Baba's money, whether it's yours or whether it's mine. Next is that if I or the yajna uses money for my traveling and I serve tirelessly, and towards the end of my trip, I feel this was worth a while with expense, time, and all that, then that's also an accumulation in your credit account. But if I just go and think, okay, I just want to go for a holiday, I'll see the country and come back. And I personally do get tired, so I don't want a lot of programs and all that. And that is not going to allow you to accumulate in your credit account. But in fact, at some point, it can be a burden on yourself that will create vikarma. And so I must serve tirelessly. And I remember when I was in France, I've only been to France once, but they organized programs in most of the places. And I was traveling and, serving and meeting the family, and it was so beautiful. But last evening we were having dinner, and it was like after the program, so it was like 10 o'clock. And the sister told me, "Sister, you've come to France first time. You haven't even been for sightseeing. You haven't seen the Eiffel Tower. And you should before you leave." I said, "No, it's okay. I'm very happy and content with my services." And I met the family. She says, "No, you must go." And we went to the Eiffel Tower after 10 o'clock p.m. And I just saw that as a, of course, it's a very well-known place. And it was nice to visit, and it was nice. But what I'm trying to say here is that my purpose initially is not sightseeing or to visit a country. My intentions is to do service, wherever the service is. Even if it is at Eiffel Tower, that's fine, but it's service. And so I've turned the whole thing, which helps me now, that service through the words, service through action, and service through drishti also. So even if your drishti falls on something, that is service. And nowadays, a lot of centers around the whole of the continent are under lockdown. So we don't have students coming for class. But it's okay, whoever comes, let me serve as though it's a full class. And so even if we have 5 students in the morning Murli, that's fine, instead of 30 and 40. But the other thing is, recently I was in a center for Rakhi program. Rakhi, we didn't tie, we just made packs and gave it to the souls, and we gave drishti, but we had about 5 or 6 souls who were not well. A few with COVID lockdown in their houses, Brahmins with full dharna. And so in the center, me and the other sister and a mother, we were just packed lunches and dinners for 6 different homes. And that was also service, karma yoga. Sometimes is sharing the knowledge, sometimes giving courses, and sometimes sharing totally in vogue, and sometimes giving Brahma Bhojan. But that is also service. So there are so many different ways of serving and accumulating my account of charity. And this is my personal experience of, bringing Baba right in front of you. And that also, you don't have to chant Baba's name, but just from your heart, Baba comes out and Baba is right in front. Oh, so many times there's been these experiences. Om Shanti. Any questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Pratibha bhen. Aapka shukriya. Thank you so much for those golden versions, reminding us, how to really accumulate on our positive karmic accounts. Now it's clear that, as it is said in your resume, you have a diploma in business studies. So also as a spiritual businesswoman, would you be okay just to have perhaps 1 minute of powerful silence before we allow some questions? Would it be okay for you?
Yes, that's fine.
Sure. Then I will read some questions.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So there is a very interesting question from one of our brother or sisters. What would you say is the difference between soul and spirit?
Actually, it's English words, but according to my understanding, souls are there. Every human being is a being, and that's a soul. That's the consciousness. But spirit is the inner strength of the soul. And so that's why Baba says you're becoming spiritual beings. So souls necessarily cannot be spiritual. They cannot be soul conscious, but they're still existing. But the spirit is the inner drive which we received by recognizing the self and recognizing Baba. And that's the spirit I need to use to become elevated souls.
Thank you very much. I think it's very, very clear. There is another, I think it's really classical questions for us old-timers, and certainly for you even more. Why is it that trance messengers never tell about Vishnu and Shankar in the subtle regions? So what would you say about that?
Actually, I'm not a trance messenger. I wouldn't know much. But whatever I listened and heard about is that I personally don't understand 100% how the subtle region works. Because you have to be there to experience that, which I've heard experiences of trance messengers. But what Baba says is that this region is only activated in the confluence age. And so at the moment, the subtle regions is for Brahmins to get little bit of entertainment. It's like a playground. It's not ultimate ground for making efforts. It's just a playground. So you don't stay on a playground all the time. When you're in school, you would study, you'll be in classroom, you will do theories, practicals. Playground is only little time in between to freshen yourself up or to create that enthusiasm. And so subtle regions, trance and trance messages are not something which will elevate and purify your souls. It's like a little bit of enthusiasm on the path of godly student life or efforts. That is what I understand, and that's how I take it. I don't take it 100%. I don't make efforts to become a trance messenger, but I do make efforts to become an elevated soul, pure soul, purified soul, and all that. So there's a difference between making efforts to study and to be being entertained by trance messages, a little bit of inspiration. Regarding Shankar and Vishnu, Vishnu is symbolic. Baba always uses the word, it's a coat of arms. And so coat of arms is just symbolic. It's not something practical. Like a country has a coat of arms, it's a metaphor of the country, that it's very good in farming, it's very rich in mining, it's very rich in, sea and all that. But there is a practical side of it which is so separate from the coat of arms. So Vishnu is coat of arms, but there is a practical world later which has been established, and that is Golden Age. So we will experience Golden Age at the correct time, but now is not the time for Golden Age. It is just symbolic. And then for Shankar, Baba says there is nothing like Shankar. It's a department of destruction. So for example, procurement manager. You have a company and there's a manager called procurement. There's no human beings as a procurement man. It's just the duties given to a human being. And so similarly, to be a president, to be a minister, it's just a position. And you take the responsibility and you perform the duties of that department. It's just a department, and the criteria is this. So Baba says, even for Shankar, there's no Shankar with a snake and all this water coming out from the head. There is no Shankar like that sitting anywhere in the world or on the Himalayas or in the subtle regions, but it's a department. And a lot of things have taken that department duty. Baba always mentions in Sakar Murli, the scientists have taken the responsibility of destruction. And that's why they're inventing all these things. So that is the department of destruction. The calamities, the 5 calamities, the natural calamities, this also has taken the duty of destruction. I would say even this virus has taken the duty of cleaning up the planet Earth. And so that is also part of that department. And the floods, like New York had the floods, hurricane, all these things come, bushfires. So that is a department of Shankar, of destruction, and that's transformation. So there is no such person sitting there, but the department is working. This is what I personally understand.
Thank you so much.
Is that clear?
Well, I think that this is very clear, although perhaps some amongst us would be disappointed to know that there is no being with a snake around the neck, but I think, yes, but your explanations and Baba's explanations are really clear about that. Very interesting question here related to one of the Murli points, or what you have shared yourself. How would you qualify what is exactly a good character for service? Good character for service.
Yeah. I think 1 or 2 days, I don't remember which Murli it was, but just a couple of days ago, I think it was an Abhyakt Murli, maybe last week or the week before, where Baba says, what are your intentions? What are your intentions to be a Brahma Kumari, to be Sentanivasi, or to do service? Whether you give a talk or whatever the consciousness is your intention to glorify yourself by thinking, oh, I'm a very good speaker, I can give very good lectures, I'm very popular. Is that consciousness there? Or is it that you want to glorify God? You want to bring souls closer to God? What is your intention? Secondly, I remember when I came to the Center Life, and I have my Lockix extended family, not my immediate family, my cousins and all of them. So they keep on asking my parents, where is Pratibha nowadays? So they have, a place or two to mention. So whenever we meet personally, me and my cousin, she would tell me, my God, you travel a lot. I also want to become a Brahma Kumari, so I can also travel. Did you hear that thought? And so is that your intention, that you became a Brahma Kumari to travel? She's just joking, I know. But a lot of souls have different intentions. So then I start checking myself. Why did I become, a Brahma Kumari? Is it pure, genuine service, or is it subtle, different intentions? So sometimes people have intention that it's so difficult in the Lokik world to earn and live, and you don't have shelter on your head. So let me just go and sit in the center and it's fine, I'll be in my comfort zone. So is that the intention? Or is it that I'll get 3 meals a day intention? Or is it that I want to dedicate my love and my life, and I want to serve tirelessly to the world and the souls and bring this task to the world? So there are so many different intentions. If I even have the slightest intention, then my service is not to the level which Baba expects. I want to add one more thing. When I came to Baba, very pure intentions, extremely pure intentions, I'm telling you. I had no idea about other things. I was very young, very pure, and I just was so intoxicated. I want to bring souls to Baba. I want to connect them to God. That's it. With time, started growing and growing and growing. And then all these hierarchies come in, responsibility comes in, name comes in, photos comes in, and your intention can start wavering. Yeah. So I remember in those days we had the Purity magazine and we had World Renewal, and a lot of students come to us and say, oh, that one's photo comes in every time. Why not ours, Africa's? Or why not yours, And that seed is sown in your head. Oh, all right. So for the sake of the continent, I must give photos. Yeah. So naturally it's your photo. So little photo consciousness. So the consciousness is now changing. Then people would say, that one's name is always announced. Why not your name? Why our name is not announced? So name consciousness. So now my intentions are getting mixed up a little bit. So you have to be very careful that you do not get pulled into all these things. And bring back your pure intention of service. And that is the true consciousness of serviceable soul. And I know nowadays in this 1.5 year, a lot of people come to me and say, there are so many YouTube programs going on. Why can't you put yours? I said, I have enough anyway. I have online classes. Whoever offers me, I will take the offer. But I don't want to struggle. I don't want to, work hard towards that. Can I not work very hard for my silence and tapasya And whoever invites me, I will happily serve. But I don't want to sit and do all these YouTube things. And a lot of colleagues and center nivasis and center brothers and sisters do feel it should be there. It will benefit others. But I personally feel there is so many things up there to be benefited with. If anybody needs the benefit, drama will allow me to do. But I don't need to go out of my way to do all that. So intentions is very pure. Intentions is very important. It can waver you very easily, so you have to be careful. So whatever you see, YouTube programs, at least conducted by me, it's not me who's put it up there. It must be the centers who invited me. But I don't even go into all that details. If I'm asked to look at one, I'll definitely look at one. But I will not sit there for days and days just in front of a screen. I'd rather do my tapasya and spend some time in that silence. And I really enjoyed that very much.
Thank you very much, Pratibha Ben. Now is a kind of dilemma for us in the drama, because usually we finish at 8:30 sharp, and because also
yes, I know. I didn't read that.
Yeah, and for the translators also, it has been already quite a long task. So I'm suggested that just one question with a really short answer, if possible, if you don't mind. Well, there is a question quite related to Africa, but perhaps then in the future it will be related to all of us. That Africa, of course, is a continent where there are a lot of occult powers, and so did you do anything specific, to protect yourself, or did you just use your mantra of Baba from the heart?
Yeah. Occult power, you don't just see it on the road here. It's just an impression. But some part of the world, anywhere in the world, you get that occult power. And I have experienced in the service field a couple of times, but I don't pinpoint that and do any tapasya. I just increase my tapasya and my purity. And so the aura, that is the crown of purity, the aura will protect me from all that negative power. But I don't particularly keep that in my mind or bring it to my consciousness, because then it will get stuck. In future, anytime, I have shared that in Madhuban also. Some of you might have heard, but when we get a chance, I'll definitely share on that also.
Thank you so much, Pratibha Bhenji. Thank you so much for this wealth of wisdom and experiences. And we hope that we will have you again, of course, in the future. Of course, happy Raksha Bandhan times, because I think we are still in those times. And for the sisters and brothers who are still with us, so next week we will have the great fortune and pleasure to welcome Balwan Bhai from London, very experienced brother as well. Thank you so much. So we will finish, I think, with some of Baba's music and your drishti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, and love and greetings from Zimbabwe. Om Shanti.
Yes, Om Shanti. Perhaps everyone can turn on, yes, the camera. Om Shanti.
152 souls. Very nice. Om Shanti.